This is CBS.
The Noon Report is coming up, and here's some of what we'll be looking at.
Debbie, a bank robbery this morning in Fridley. A UPS truck driver was missing afterwards and then found tied up in the back of his truck. A stormy night in Minnesota as tornadoes touched down in rural areas and a local man was hit by lightning.
And in Dinkytown at the U, Als is celebrating 35 years in business with a festive morning. We'll have a live look at what's happening there. These stories and more are just ahead.
Made the way you make your own pizza. Tombstone.
It's a ladle on and loaded up with lots of mozzarella on the pizza. Tombstone. We pile on the goodness. We're loaded with real cheese. We're sure the taste of Tombstone's gonna please your family. We're a small-town homegrown, made the way you make your own pizza. Tombstone. Made the way you'd make your very own. Tombstone.
How can people with arthritis live a more comfortable life?
Take your arthritis to a doctor and then discover Ascription, the brand doctors recommend most for flare-ups of minor arthritis pain and stiffness. Only Ascription contains aspirin plus Maalox.
That's right. Aspirin to relieve your pain for hours plus Maalox to comfort your stomach equals Ascription, the stomach comfort aspirin.
Live a more comfortable life. Discover Ascription, the stomach comfort aspirin.
Meet Helen, our aspiring advertising executive. Helen's not feeling very creative today because she's wearing one of those saggy diapers that leak. Well, Helen, here's a big idea. Kleenex Huggies diapers. Huggies are form-fitting, and they're thick and absorbent with gentle, extra-wide elastic at the leg. So Huggies hug to help stop leaking and help keep babies happy. Now Helen's wearing Huggies, and that's all the inspiration she needs. Right, Helen?
Serving and informing the Twin Cities for 4 decades. This is WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And now, Bill Carlson, Debbie Ely, Bud Frayling, and Tony Parker bring you Channel 4's Noon Report.
Good afternoon, everyone. 2 men robbed a Twin City federal office in Fridley this morning.
And there was concern for a time as to what happened to the UPS truck driver who they took hostage. The robbery happened around 9 a.m. The robbers reportedly ran out of the bank and overpowered the truck driver, but only took his truck about 300 feet. Authorities found the driver a short time later tied up in the back of the truck. He was not injured, just a little shaken. Meantime, the search for the 2 suspects, both white men, continues mainly north of town. No word yet on how much they got away with. A man in St. Paul died this morning when the trash dumpster he was in was dumped into a trash truck. Officials say 30-year-old Gordon Huddleston of Duluth died from a lack of oxygen. They say he panicked when the dumpster was picked up, and they speculate he might have lived if he wouldn't have tried to get out. It's unknown why he was in the dumpster. Bill?
A handgun bill is on Governor Rudy Perpich's desk. It passed the Senate yesterday on a 48-18 vote. This bill would take the place of stricter laws in Minneapolis and St. Paul. The bill has the support of the National Rifle Association and sportsmen's groups. In the past, those organizations have complained that the strict laws in the Twin Cities make them unintentional lawbreakers. The latest on the troubles with the group called MOVE in Philadelphia. 6 bodies have been found in the house that was burned. And police officials now said that they are not responsible for the fires that burned up nearly 60 homes. They're blaming the fires on the group, saying its members set them before police dropped a bomb on the house.
Very definitely, the fire did start inside. The chopper was up in the air, and actually noted that the fire did not start for at least 10 to 15 minutes. There was no fire visible from the air.
The search continues for other members of the Back to Nature group, which members who got away despite the fires. Debbie?
Even as Minnesota farmers are planting their crops and hoping for the best, the farmers' condition overall is getting worse. A survey of Midwestern bankers by Norwest Corporation released this morning suggests the picture for agriculture has darkened even more in the last 6 months. Foreclosures and farm sales are just one sign of deterioration that leads to predictions that 5% of farm borrowers will go out of business each year.
Many of the bankers, they've written in and said they do not see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I happen to concur with them. They also point out that agricultural conditions will get worse before they get better, and this problem will persist for several years.
The survey of bankers suggests that economic conditions are much stronger in the Twin Cities, even though the economy here may face a significant slowdown along with the rest of the country beginning next year. A blistering report alleging mismanagement in St. Paul's Human Rights Department has put its director on the offensive. John Heinen began fighting back last night in a meeting of the City Human Rights Commission, trying to dismiss charges that he's a poor administrator. Mike Strand has that story.
Instead of responding to the report as planned, John Hyen challenged the authenticity of the allegations sprinkled throughout it, and he lashed out at authors of the report who destroyed transcripts of some 60 interviews with both supporters and critics of the embattled human rights chief. By doing so, Hyen says his rights were violated and compared it to the actions of a communist state.
We are dealing with serious allegations here, and I think in the spirit of fair play and due process, I think that I should have access to these documents.
Commissioners say their actions were based on a lawyer's recommendation, and they vigorously defended the report's credibility and accuracy.
There's no more reliability in the original notes than there is in the summary of comments, so there would be really no difference, except for the attribution, that is who made the statements, and we promised confidentiality, and we're ensuring it.
The commission voted to keep the contested statements in the report. Hyen is scheduled to respond to them in a special meeting June 11th. Mike Strand, WCCO Television News, St. Paul.
Tornado touchdowns damaged 5 farms in east central Minnesota last night. There were no injuries. The most severe damage was in Sibley and Carver counties. Cleanup is underway today. And a Twin City man is recovering today after being hit by lightning on a golf course. 23-year-old Robert Powell of St. Louis Park ran for cover on the Bunker Hills Golf Course in Coon Rapids when the lightning hit. He's in satisfactory condition this noon, improving from serious condition last night. The precipitation we experienced yesterday remains with us, but
yes.
Nothing more serious, Bud?
Looks like an afternoon of light rain, and that'll extend into the evening hours. It looks like over the last few days of this rainy period, our weather systems have been to the southwest of us, and we've had a good steady flow of winds from the south-southeast. Now the latest low-pressure center is just to the west of the metro area. We've assembled our radar photos through the morning to make this sequence as a counterclockwise circulation. We'll run it through again for you, just west of Carver County. It starts up here. You see the circulation all around the Twin Cities, and it kind of narrows down to this pattern of rain just west of the metro area. It's moving very, very slowly. Here it goes again. Very slowly to the northeast at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So slowly that rain is likely through the afternoon and evening in our metro forecast with a slight chance of a thunderstorm. Afternoon temperature at 16 to be around 50 degrees tonight. Now, the weekend for the fishing opener, Bill, is just still kind of up for grabs. It looks like it's definitely going to be cool with a slight chance of rain on Saturday.
We'll check with you for more complete details in just a few moments. Well, it's an anniversary day for a popular eatery at the University of Minnesota. We'll go live to Als. Dave Nimmer continues his report on a police case that is still somewhat baffling years after it happened. And the man who spent 6 years in jail meets the woman who put him there, apparently falsely.
Wherever soybean growers have a problem with broadleaf weeds, when Bassagran goes over, it's over. When Bassagran goes over cockleburr and smartweed, it's over. When Bassagran goes over velvet leaf, Jimson weed, and wild mustard, it's over. Bassagran by itself or tank mixed, it's economical and gentle on your crop. Wherever the problem is broadleaf weeds, when Bassagran goes over, it's over.
Here's an invitation to a new lifestyle in a beautiful home at Woodlake Point, conveniently located in Richfield. More than a condominium, Woodlake Point is a community designed for adults aged 55 and over. Here you gain independent living, 24-hour security, and freedom from outside maintenance chores. Woodlake Point condominiums are under construction, and over half have been spoken for. Don't delay. Call 866-3426 for a new independent lifestyle for adults aged 55 and over.
The watch to watch is Loras. It's dependable technology with a flair all its own. Loras style. It's right day or night, on the town or on the job. Loras value. It keeps you ahead at a price that won't set you back. Loras Forgiving. It's quartz watches and clocks for everyone. Just $14.95 to $59.95. Fashionable, dependable Loras. It's everything except expensive.
Can I stop now?
Sorry. You could scrub all day with any of these ordinary cleaners and still never get the kind of clean you do with Lysol deodorizing cleaner.
Lysol cleaner?
Look, Lysol not only cleans the greasiest dirt, it takes cleaning one step further. Lysol cleaner disinfects as it cleans. Ordinary cleaners don't. Lemon Fresh Lysol cleaner takes cleaning
one step further.
Well, it's considered an institution in Dinkytown at the University of Minnesota.
Dinkytown, as you may know, is an area filled with restaurants and shops near the campus. The institution is Als Breakfast, and today Als is celebrating its 35th anniversary with festivities going on there this morning. And owner Doug Grinnett joins us from Als today.
Doug, it's quite a time. All of us who've been at the University of Minnesota remember Als, Debbie. We've all had not only breakfast, but other things there, but you were most famous for breakfast, right?
Oh, you bet, you bet. That's all we serve.
Can you tell us a little bit about the festivities going on there this morning?
Well, everybody's inside desperately digesting greasy gourmet breakfast morsels. Earlier this morning, Al came by to say hello to us, and we had the Summit Hill Brass Quintet playing music for Al's Breakfast and more music for Al's Breakfast. We had a group called Corns and Butts after that, Renaissance horn instruments playing. And right now we're just trying to have a good time and get out of here before we fall down.
Obviously, Doug, you're not the original owner of Al's.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the fellow for whom this restaurant is named?
Well, Al Bergstrom is a very goofy man, and that's how we ended up all becoming as goofy as we are. He started on May 15th, 1950, and had a good time for about 25 years, and then decided he was going to rest for a while. He comes in when he wants to have a few cigarettes away from his wife, and talks to us and drinks coffee and that sort of thing.
That kind of success, Doug, would often call for expansion. Have you ever thought of that? It'd be pretty tough in your position, wouldn't it?
We have an architect working on a plan to go straight up about 4 floors, with each floor being dedicated to a different food, but we're not sure how it's going to work out.
In the meantime, Al's Breakfast is still the exciting place on campus, and we congratulate you on your celebration.
Well, thank you.
And with that, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to sports. Sports not of the university campus variety, but of the Minnesota Twins variety. I don't even know if we want... Let's skip this. Let's move on to...
Remember the White Sox winning ugly a couple of years ago?
Yeah, right.
Twins have turned it around.
They are.
The Twins have developed a new way to lose ugly. Go out and grab a big early lead, then walk the bases full and serve up a lollipop for somebody to hit out of the ballpark. That's what happened last night as the Yankees beat the Twins 10-7 after trailing 7-2 going into the bottom of the 7th. The night before, the Yanks came back in that 8-0 deficit to win at 9-8 and a Yankee homer. Kurt Wardle, who was taken out of the starting rotation and sent to the bullpen, gave up the 9th walk by Twins pitching in the 7th, loading the bases for Ken Griffey. Griffey, who's the only other homer this season, also came off. The Twins jumped on a floater here. There it is. Looks like a big watermelon, doesn't it? Got just enough to drive it over the right field fence, just beyond the reach of Tom Brunansky. Brunansky, incidentally, also homered last night, his 9th of the year, but it was wasted. Wardle, who followed Filson and Lysander in relief, have started Ken Cloweter, walked one more Yankee before it was all over, for a total of 10 free passes for the Twins hurlers. On the other hand, Dave Righetti shut down the Twins in the 8th and 9th to earn his 9th save. Montefusco started for the Yankees. He earned the win. Wardle took the loss. Now, the Angels lost. The White Sox won last night. So the Angels lead the Sox by 1 game in the West, and the Twins remain 2.5 back. Twins are back in the Dome tonight to host the Tigers in the first of 2. Well, some 80 players, rookies, free agents, veterans, and returnees showed up yesterday for a full day of meetings and drills in the Vikings minicamp. Running back Darren Nelson, who was unsigned, chose to boycott the proceedings. One of the veterans who was a surprise candidate was running back Ricky Young. Ricky, who did it all for Bud Grant and the Vikings before Grant took his 1-year sabbatical, will get a shot at returning after a year's layoff. He was cut by Les Steckel last season and failed to try out with the Miami Dolphins. At 31, though, Young could still be a very fine situation player for the Vikings. In playoff action last night in the NHL, it was Philadelphia defeating Quebec 2-1. They lead that best-of-7 series 3-2. And Edmonton topped Chicago 10-5. Edmonton has a 3-2 lead there. In the NBA, Boston beat Philadelphia 106-98. Boston leads that best-of-7 2-zip. And Denver beat the Lakers 136-114. They're tied up at 1 victory apiece.
Okay, and with that, we move on to a story that is everywhere today, it seems, Debbie.
I think you're right. Two people who it would seem might be keeping their distance are spending time together behind the scenes and on television. Gary Dotson and Kathleen Webb met last night in New York and today appeared on all 3 network morning news programs. It was Webb who put Dotson in jail for 6 years, and she recanted her story, and Dotson is now free. But what did the two say to each other?
Well, I don't really remember what I said, and it came from the heart. And I, of course, asked for Gary's forgiveness, and it was given sincerely and from his heart.
Gary, how'd you feel seeing this woman for the first time?
I was nervous, but I'm glad I met her.
Are you glad you met her?
Yeah.
No bitterness?
No, like I've said, I know she's a changed person now, very much so, and she's got a lot of hurt.
Webb is now helping Dotson's lawyers with a possible retrial that could clear him on the charges that he served time for. Closer to home, the Minnesota Supreme Court will intervene today in the Morris Commission investigation. As the name indicates, the Morris Commission is looking into the activities of Kathleen Morris, the Scott County prosecutor. A former defendant in one of her child sex cases has accused her of misconduct. Today, the state's high court will consider whether that special commission has subpoena power. Morris's attorney claims that there is no provision in state law for that commission to subpoena witnesses in the pre-hearing phase. Yesterday, a Ramsey County District Court judge ruled that the commission should be able to subpoena witnesses. Bill?
Debbie, there are more problems for the widow of one of the victims of the Galaxy Airlines crash. Susan Witt of Cottage Grove has been charged with possession of a controlled substance. 8,000 phenobarbital tablets were found in her home last weekend after police were called out there for a report of a man with a gun. It was the 3rd time police had investigated a crime against the Witt family since Dan Witt was killed in that plane crash. The mysterious case of Minneapolis police officer Jim Shaw is the focus of a series that's coming up on the Noon Report.
Now is your opportunity to save a lot of money and to own Ethan Allen Furnishings. The Ethan Allen Spring Sale has low prices on smartly tailored sofas, finely crafted chairs, and decorative accents for every room setting. All this and our free design service and home delivery too. It's the Ethan Allen Spring Sale going on now. But it won't last long.
Ethan Allen Galleries in Edina, Maplewood, Mendota Heights, and Minnetonka.
Feeling hungry? Just sit tight. We're not gonna mother you, not tonight.
We're gonna grandmother you like only Perkins can do.
We're gonna spank you, Jake, and move you, Barry and Jerry. We're gonna chimney and Jimmy, and sweet and sour you, Sue.
Yeah, we're gonna grandmother you like only Perkins can do. We're gonna grandmother you.
Hunting for a way to control foxtails and other problem grasses? Get new Fusilade 2000, the total solution for grass control. Volunteer corn and other grasses, volunteering to wreck your yields? Get new Fusilade 2000, the total solution for grass control.
Kellogg's Nutrigrain.
This is dedicated to the ones we love.
Okay, I know his swing has lost some of its zing, but to me, he's still pretty nifty. So no morning goes by without his Nutrigrain cereal. Nutrigrain has no sugar added, no preservatives or cholesterol. It's full of the natural whole grain that's so good for him. And he loves that special Nutrigrain taste, almost as much as I love him.
Nutrigrain from Kellogg's.
Dedicated to the ones we love.
Today we continue our series on the death of this Minneapolis patrolman, James Shaw. Shaw died 14 years ago. The official cause of death? Suicide by gunshot.
But even today, Debbie, there are those who wonder whether he wasn't murdered instead, perhaps because he knew too much about the illegal activities of police colleagues. Today, Dave Nimmer looks at the case for murder.
Jim Shaw was an aggressive street cop back in 1971. He was a Boy Scout,
a by-the-book kind of guy. He was a cop who didn't like cutting corners and found it impossible to look the other way. Yet he may have had to do that at the Bryant Precinct Station. He apparently believed that several of his fellow patrolmen were committing burglaries or dealing in stolen property. He told a couple of close friends about his suspicions, and one night he told his wife.
One of the guys at the station, Susan, we came across 3 or 4 bikes. And rather than property inventory them, the guys in my car said, why don't you take one, Shaw? We're each taking one. And he said, no, that's okay. He said, we don't have time. We've got too many things to do. You guys go right ahead and you take them. He came home that night, this particular incident I'm telling you about, he came home that night, took his hat off and he threw it across the room and took his belt off, and he was very angry. And he said, I can't believe this type of thing exists.
In fact, the burglary scandal of sorts did break out 2 years later. Patrolman Pat Brady was convicted of burglary. He'd been one of Shaw's fellow officers at Bryant Precinct. Later, 2 more of Shaw's Bryant Precinct colleagues quietly resigned from the department. Donald Harju was accused of stealing, and David Hawkey was also accused of theft. Hawkey later moved to Oregon and was actually convicted there of burglary. So in the opinion of the 2 investigators who've been looking into the case, Shaw wasn't dreaming. He very well might have been onto something.
Yeah, he was a note-taker. He knew what was going on. He knew in 1971 that there were some persons doing some things that shouldn't be doing it.
Beatty concedes he'll never be sure of exactly what Shaw knew, or whether what he knew led to his death. But he is sure there's other evidence that leads away from suicide. First, there's the field where 2 witnesses saw the man in a blue shirt near Shaw's body. At the time, investigators dismissed the sightings, saying the figure could have been a fleeing escapee from the workhouse. And yet, workhouse records show that the last escape was June 7th, almost a month before. One of the witnesses also saw a couple of cars cruising Highway 101 in front of the cornfield where Shaw died. He described one of the cars in particular detail, a brightly colored sports model. And it matched a car driven at the time by yet another of Shaw's fellow officers from the Bryant Precinct, who was later suspected of burglary. Most suspicious, however, to investigators was the position of Shaw's body. His hands were almost back-to-back under his torso, gun barrel protruding from between his legs. One of the noticeable details from the pictures taken that night at the scene is the position of the gun in Shaw's hand. The gun is resting comfortably in the palm, fingers slightly curled around the stock, index finger stretched forward, thumb outstretched, almost as if the weapon had been placed there. Even John Cole, medical examiner at the time, concedes the gun's position is not typical in suicides. It usually falls from the hand. However, Cole is convinced of suicide because of the path of the bullet and the absence of any sign of a struggle.
I don't think that would be just a major problem. I think if I was to seriously hit you as hard as I could in the mouth or knock you down, it could be done.
Not only do the investigative pair consider murder possible, but they see a number of nagging questions that make suicide improbable. Why did Shaw have mud on his shoes and pants when the field was dry? Why was he wearing boots when his wife last saw him in tennis shoes? Why did he walk 300 yards across a stubbly field to kill himself? Why were there large drops of blood on his arms and none on his white T-shirt? And why did Shaw, the compulsive note-taker, not leave a suicide note? To Susan Shaw, these questions are interesting, intellectually. But she's got a gut feeling it couldn't be suicide.
They knew it was suicide before they found him, I think. Only because of the disagreement that they had heard that we had had. It had spread through the police department that quickly. It was bad timing.
It wasn't the kind of disagreement, as you look back on it, that causes young Jim Shaw to go out in the field and put a bullet in his head.
Most definitely not.
How do you know that?
Because I knew him. I knew him for 8 years.
Susan Shaw has had 14 years to forget. And yet how Jim Shaw died still matters. To her, her son, and to those concerned with the integrity of the police justice system. We'll look at the reasons why tomorrow. With Doug Stone and photographer Bob Fishnick, Dave Nimmer, WCCO Television News in the Twin Cities.
Freedom now, freedom, freedom of choice.
Well, maybe you should see an allergist.
I know, but with my HMO, that's easier said than done.
Really? I can see any of my HMO specialists.
With a referral, right?
With Physicians Health Plan, the choice is always mine.
Now freedom of choice.
Physicians Health Plan. All the benefits of an HMO plus freedom of choice.
At Rapid Grow, we get letters reporting some amazing results. Cliff Beckett of Ohio got 231 tomatoes from one plant. Another user got pumpkins over 200 pounds. You might not match that, but gardens like this prove Rapid Grow works. Just mix and spray to get luscious plants. Rapid Grow. What it's named is what it does.
5-pound Rapid Grow as low as $6.98 with rebate at participating stores.
I'm going to bring up a subject that's in most everyone's mouth, but nobody talks about. Hard, crusty tartar. This can scrape it away, but no toothpaste can control it except this one. New tartar control formula Crest. It turns your toothbrush into a tartar-fighting tool because it's the only toothpaste clinically proven by dentists to fight both cavities and tartar. Look, tartar is so hard, only your dentist or hygienist can scrape it away. But you can significantly reduce ugly tartar buildup between dental visits with Tartar Control Crest. So why just fight tartar twice a year when you can fight it every day? With new Tartar Control Formula Crest in the silver box. It turns your toothbrush into a tartar-fighting tool.
Freedom. The greatest gift your country gives. Help preserve it by taking stock in America. Buy United States Savings Bonds.
An international flavor today for some music in Vienna. U.S. and Soviet bands played at an anniversary celebration for Austria's release from Nazi Germany. Also there today, George Shultz and Andrei Gromyko are meeting to discuss U.S.-Soviet policies. Pope John Paul has wrapped up his trip to the Netherlands, where he had a taste of what some Catholics are upset about. He assured bishops in the Netherlands before leaving that they have his support.
I do believe that this bad weather we got last night kind of took us all by surprise. There hadn't been any warnings in this area.
That's right. And rain is likely through the afternoon tonight. Very light rain, it looks like, in store for today. I know we need a little spirit lifter here, and I thought we might do that with a pretty little yellow flower. Now, I call them yellow buttons. There's probably a fancier name. Very thin stalk. They grow about 12 inches high, and the little flower is about 1 inch in diameter.
They look almost like marigolds.
Yeah, little tiny marigolds, little yellow buttons. Well, this was taken on a sunny day, I have to admit that. Now it's cloudy and rainy around the Twin Cities. 58 is our present temperature, 83% humidity. The wind is from the south at 13 miles an hour, with the pressure reading at 29.66, and the pressure is rising. So it's raining around the area, temperature at 58 degrees. Over the last 24 hours, we've had a ½ inch of rain from Redwood Falls to the metro area, up to a ¼ inch, St. Cloud and Alexandria, 3/4 of an inch common in the eastern Dakotas at Fargo and down at Sioux Falls, and over 1 inch at Wausau and Madison, Wisconsin. Now, the next 24 hours, a heavier rain looks like it's going to shift to the north, up to 1 inch, northeastern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, ½ inch in central Minnesota, central Wisconsin. That would include the metro area, ¼ inch in the southern part of the state. And temperatures this morning were a little on the cool side, and we still have some showers with the cooler temperatures scattered over south central and east central Minnesota, and very slowly to the north. That movement to Duluth at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So rain is likely through the afternoon and evening. Temperatures this morning from the west, 30s, 40s, and 50s, 55 low in the metro area. The cool spot was Gunnison, Colorado at 18 degrees this morning. Now, we've already had some rain, ½ inch at Salt Lake City, storm damage north of Laredo, 1 inch of rain at Cincinnati. The low pressure center just west of the metro area will continue to move to the northeast. In the 90s around Phoenix and Orlando, and 65 of the afternoon at Kansas City. And our forecast for cloudy, showers likely, slight chance of a thunderstorm, 60 high today. Southerly winds will continue. Cloudy tonight, showers likely, again a slight chance of a thunderstorm, around 50 for the low, but a wind shift to the northwest. And mostly cloudy Thursday, good chance of lingering showers, mostly in the morning, with a high temperature at 60 degrees. So kind of tapering off very, very slowly.
I hope we have a good weekend.
Thank you.
That's it for us today. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow.
In the meantime, join our colleagues at 5, 6, and 10.
I'm Pat Sajak. Wheel of Fortune is catching up.
Oh, the day of reckoning is coming, Joe. And you're finally going to get what's coming to you.
Was your child in the play?
She was the avocado.
Oh, the avocado was very good.
I can't wait till these pictures come back. When my husband sees the avocado dancing with that banana.
That banana was my son.
Oh, Polaroid pictures.
With a Polaroid instant camera, you know you've got the shots because you see them right away.
Oh.
Polaroid instant cameras do what no other kind of camera can do.
No diet in the world will help you lose weight until you do one thing: control your appetite.
I had a huge appetite, but Dexter Trim curbed my hunger, and I lost weight.
The extra-strength Dexter Trim diet plan. You can't buy a stronger appetite control capsule without prescription. Dexter Trim helps you eat less all day and lose weight.
Dexter Trim made the difference for me. I ate less all day and lost weight.
Extra-strength Dexter Trim. No appetite control capsule works harder to help you lose weight.